YouTube, what's up, man? It's your boy Richardson from Minimum Wage to Millionaire. If you're new to the channel, welcome. But if you've been here, welcome back. Guys, I wanted to expand upon what I ended off on the last video, saying that I decided and I have a good feeling of the career path that I'm going to choose. This is, I guess you could say, a continuation of a video that I made a couple months ago, me being a 27, well now 28-year-old man with no career. I named off a couple career paths. Some of them was like bookkeeping. Somebody recommended me cosmetology, like barber school and stuff like that. But I think I've settled on my career path, and that is to be a master electrician. Now, bear with me for a few minutes. I'm going to kind of break down my thought process, why I chose electrician out of all the trades, and kind of my mindset going forward, and then also what I'm going to do in regards to becoming a master electrician. So, the reason why I decided to choose an electrician or master electrician is for really three major reasons. For one is that I made it very clear, and I also did a video about is college is a scam and stuff like that, so you guys can go check that out if you want. But I knew one thing for sure is that, for one, I have no interest in actually going to college across the board. I just don't have any interest in going to college. Fortunately, one of the career paths that you could go that doesn't involve going to college, at least doesn't require, you can go to college if you want to learn a trade, but it doesn't require, is skilled trade, is like an electrician, right? So I didn't want to go to college, didn't want to spend more time in school to get a degree that may or may not help me. I realized that in the labor force, or the labor force, experience and skills matter more than education. Now, this is not to downplay education or downplay people that have their college degrees and they're proud of that. I'm not here to take that away from you, but as we've seen a lot in this labor force, and especially as the economy continues to deteriorate, they care more about skills, like, hey, what you know, not necessarily education-wise, but your skill set, and then do you have experience applying those skills? It seems like that matters more than the actual college or education in that regard. And of course, being an electrician, you don't necessarily have to go to college that way. The second thing is that I wanted a trade that, obvious reasons, is sustainable, not only financially, but also in terms of opportunities. And although many skilled trades like plumbing and HVAC are scalable, my kind of thought process with like electrician specifically is that electricity is, for the most part, a necessity, right? You're always going to need power and electricity and how to operate those things. Two is that the second part of that is that it's not easily replaceable or by AI, right? So AI can't easily replace an electrician. In fact, AI, if it's going to be around and it's going to scale, AI draws on a lot of power. Who is responsible for handling at least the electrical parts of building those powers, whether it's data centers or whatever, generators or whatever? Electricians, yes. So I feel like electricians scalable, and then also electrician, the actual field, there's so many different paths you could go. You could go solar, you could go like industrial, you could go commercial, you could go residential. There's so many different paths in electrician. So let's say you try residential for like the first couple years and you're like, kind of tired dealing with like wiring up people's homes. Let me transition to solar. You could very well do that, right? And obviously, the more specialized you are in a particular field, the more potential earnings you can make, because you are more valuable in the industry. So that's what I like about electrician. And obviously HVAC and plumbing to a certain extent does have diverse paths in regards to that. But I feel like electricity in general, the group is bigger which means that you have multiple different paths that you can go. And it allows you to kind of, if you have to step back and recalibrate and go somewhere else, I think it's a lot more easier in electricity than in other trades. Now, if I'm wrong on that, feel free to enter your comments down below and feel free to correct me. But the third reason I want to be an electrician is that I pride myself on, and this kind of ties to the first one, but I wanted to make it separate, is that it ties into the idea of me never going back into debt for anything, and that includes education. I don't believe that education is something that you got to go to debt for. I don't have a problem with people going to debt for education because I get it. They want to invest in themselves. But for me, as someone who prides himself on being debt-free and will forever remain debt-free, at least as much as I can. Obviously, there may be factors and extenuating circumstances, like if I have a major medical expense that happens and I need to do surgery and the surgery is over 100K, I don't have 100K, right? So at some point I would have to go into debt in that regard. So never say never, but as much as far and as much as I could control the factors in my life, I will not go back into debt. And fortunately, with being an electrician, you don't have to go to school, which means you don't really have to go debt. And there's this whole field that's known as apprenticeship. And apprenticeship, pretty much, for the most part, is on-the-job training. So you usually work with, like, in my case, a journeyman, electrician, or a master electrician. And you'll go there. If you approve for the program, sometimes you could go with unions, which may be better, but you would have to pay union dues and all that. Or you could go with local companies, which may be more easier to get into, but of course there's less negotiating power in terms of your pay and stuff like that. But regardless of what you go, you could learn the skill in on-time and on-job training, which is great because I'm typically somebody that likes to learn through action and through visuals, as opposed to just sitting down and just hearing somebody teach me something. Not saying I'm not good at listening, but it's just, ideally, of the two paths, it's more preferable for me to go apprenticeship. And apart from like your initial investment of, buying some tools and stuff, to complete the job or to work the job, which may cost a couple hundred or maybe $1,000 or $2,000, depending on how many tools and depending on what trade you need those tools from. Besides that initial investment, there's very few things you're going to need to go into debt for, at least pertaining to the apprenticeship, pertaining to the career. There's very few things, which is very, very great for someone like me who's not trying to be in debt, and essentially get the benefits of earning money while I'm learning about the trade I am. So those are my three major reasons why. And again, some of those things you could overlap with other trades, but I feel like electricity, specifically me being an electrician, provides the best path forward for me in terms of scalability, in terms of not needing to go to college, and in terms of me remaining debt-free. So those are my three major reasons. So going forward, how am I going to go about being an electrician? My third point kind of spoiled it in a way, which is, of course, getting into an apprenticeship. Now, apprenticeships, unfortunately, are very competitive, and depending on the market, I live in Florida, so the market for apprenticeships in Florida is super hyper competitive. And I'm sure it's competitive in other places as well, but I feel like in more smaller mid-cities that still need that demand for electrician, that's another reason why I want to be an electrician, is that the demand is, electricians are necessary in all 50 states. So you could go to a small city, they're still going to need you, right? Maybe the pay may be different, maybe the structure and all the macro and microeconomics that may affect things, but you always need electricians, so there's always that demand. So my kind of goal was that I was going to move to another, potentially move to a state or another city at least, or maybe another state, apply for the apprenticeship program there. Obviously, if I'm aiming for most apprenticeship programs that I see, they usually let people in around the fall time. So I'm trying to apply now. So if I do get accepted to those programs, I will probably have to plan a move somewhere around August and September, which is very great because if you guys watch my my financial goals, my goal video, one of my goals is to move out of my parents' house this year. So I'm knocking almost two birds in one stone by doing this, assuming that it plays out. So apply for apprenticeship there, move in. Obviously, as a single man, I don't need a large apartment, or I don't need any large necessities or anything like that. And just pretty much move there, complete the apprenticeship program. And then assuming that I still have a desire of wanting to come back to Florida, because I like Florida. It has its problems. It's not perfect, but I don't have a problem with coming back to Florida. So complete the program, which usually takes 4 to 5 years, and then come back to Florida with those skills, and then build my life in Florida there. So that's kind of the goal. Things could change. I'm obviously, from now to like fall, I obviously will keep my ear out for any ideas and suggestions. And if you have any ideas and suggestions, maybe you're an electrician yourself, feel free to let me know in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and your opinions on it. But thank you guys. It's your boy Richardson from Minimum Wage to Millionaire. May the Lord bless you all today on this Saturday. Have a good day.